It was supposed to be just another talk show. Another interview filled with polite laughter, rehearsed answers, and carefully chosen words. But on that quiet evening in Istanbul, as cameras rolled and millions watched live, Demet Özdemir decided she had had enough. For years, she had smiled through rumors, swallowed her anger, and carried the weight of expectations too heavy for anyone to bear. Yet that night, her silence cracked, and when it did, it wasn't a whisper. It was an explosion. "People think they know me," she began, her voice calm but trembling slightly. "They think they know what happened, who I am, what I've done. But they don't. None of you do." The audience shifted in their seats. The host looked stunned. This wasn't scripted. Demet's eyes shimmered under the lights, not with glamour but with fire. "For years, I've been told to smile, to pretend, to play along. But I can't anymore. Because the truth has been buried for too long." The studio froze. No one dared to speak. Every camera zoomed in. And with that, the confession began, one that would change everything. By morning, the clip of Demet's trembling "yes, every single day" had already crossed 1 million views. The moment was raw, unguided by PR, unscripted by producers, and that's precisely why it detonated. Headlines ran like sirens: "Demet Özdemir finally breaks. The mask slips, what is she hiding?" Yet what people called a slip wasn't weakness. It was the first brave crack in an engineered mask. For years, she had learned to breathe on cue, smile on command, dodge rumors with elegance. Every gossip line was a storm to be navigated with grace, a rumor, a denial, a new project, a red carpet, repeat. But any cycle repeated long enough becomes a cage. And cages, no matter how gilded, suffocate. That afternoon, a panel show dissected her every blink. A body language expert paused the video to circle micro-expressions. "Here is the moment she chooses truth over image," he said. "Notice the breath, the exhale. That's a release. But truth has enemies." Within hours, Demet's team inboxed a neatly worded email from a powerful figure in the industry: "We suggest a measured statement to clarify tone and intent. Translation: soften it. Smooth it. Put the mask back on." She read it twice and closed her laptop. Outside, the sky over Istanbul smeared itself in wild orange, too honest to be curated. She poured tea, sat on the balcony, and let the city breathe around her. A neighbor's radio hummed an old love song. Somewhere, a child laughed. Perfection was nowhere, and yet the moment felt full. Her phone buzzed. Messages from friends in Italy. A director she admired: "Whatever they say, don't let them rewrite this. Your honesty is your power." And one message that froze her heart mid-beat: "You finally said it." The name below it was one she had trained herself not to expect. She didn't answer, didn't need to. Beneath the storms of attention and analysis, a simpler weather pattern formed: relief. The second night, she returned to the same studio for part 2 of the interview: contractual obligation. The host looked careful, the producers cautious, the lights a little dimmer. Yesterday, the host began gently: "You said the real you was lost between love, ambition, and lies. Would you like to continue that thought?" Demet folded her hands, felt the tremor, and welcomed it. "Yes," she said. "Because silence protects the wrong people." A murmur. The oxygen thinned. Even the camera seemed to lean in. "I was asked to keep quiet," she continued. "Not just about my feelings. About contracts I didn't sign, narratives I didn't write, and blame I didn't earn." She didn't name names. She didn't have to. The confession wasn't an accusation, it was a rupture. And once a rupture begins, it finds its own edges. In rooms where deals are inked and reputations are formatted, the confession hit like sudden rain on a premiere night. One producer dialed another. A PR chief drafted a "we value her" statement while quietly flagging brand partners. A streaming executive texted, "Is she controllable?" The reply came fast: "No. She's honest." Honesty complicates commerce. Viewers, however, felt none of that discomfort, only clarity. Comments flooded in, "Thank you for saying what we feel. No more perfect masks. Let her speak." The noise grew sympathetic, then thunderous. Hashtags morphed from gossip to movement, hashtag let her be real, hashtag not your narrative. At home, Demet laid out years of mental notes, moments she had tucked away, the time an apology was written for her in a font that wasn't hers, the night a party photo was cropped to create a romance, the morning a comment she never made trended for hours. When people ask if a public life is chosen, she thinks, they've never seen the fine print. That evening, an old friend visited, someone who remembered the pre-fame apartment with mismatched cups and a window that stuck in winter. "You were always brave," the friend said. "Brave isn't shouting. It's telling the truth without knowing whether it will be believed." "Brave is paying the price," Demet replied. Her friend nodded. "Then choose your currency." The next day, a magazine pitched a cover, Rebirth. Great photography, gentle framing, crisis softened into aesthetic. She almost said yes, because beauty is a tempting translator, but declined. "Not yet," she told her manager. "This can't be a campaign. It has to be a season." Meanwhile, the message from him hung in her phone like a swallow hovering over water. She tapped it open again, read the line, and let her mind wander to a set at midnight, laughter between takes, the hush before action, the way memory edits pain into music over time. Later, a tiny account leaked a blurry screenshot, her profile on a muted video call, no context, no sound. "She's meeting with someone," the caption speculated. Maybe she was. Maybe she wasn't. In the age of assertion, guessing has scaffolding of its own. Evening fell. She wrote in a notebook, the old-fashioned kind that refuses to be backed up. One sentence at the top, "Silence protects the wrong people." Another below it, "So speak, but don't perform." And a third, trembling with ink, "Name no one. Free everyone." She walked into the third interview segment wearing midnight blue, elegant, grounded, unhurried. No stylized fragility, no dramatic eyeliner to underscore pain. She chose steadiness. The host, emboldened by ratings and careful not to break her, asked, "Are you accusing anyone?" Demet held the pause. "No," she said. "I'm describing a system." Relief broke across the crew, tension slid off the host's shoulders. And then she finished, "But systems have hands." The sentence hung like a bell. She didn't ring it again. Clips went viral. "Systems have hands" trended in 3 languages. People outside entertainment began quoting her in their offices, their group chats, their private journals. A confession had turned into a mirror, and everyone was checking their reflection. Backroom weather shifted. A junior publicist, tired of shaping apologies, resigned with a short note, "I want my words to be mine." A young actor posted a story, "I was told to flirt with a rumor to sell a show. I said no. I wasn't rehired." Doors whispered, glass rattled. Demet's team fielded contradictory calls, concern masked as kindness, power disguised as advice. "We're just thinking of your future," one executive cooed. She thanked them, then turned off her phone. The future is not a favor. At dawn, she drove to the water. The Bosphorus wasn't performing, it was simply being, a truth as old as the city, indifferent to premieres and trends. She breathed with the swell, then opened a text thread she had promised herself not to open. "You finally said it," he had written. She typed, deleted, typed again. "Finally, you heard what I meant." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Some truths don't need a microphone. She smiled, closed the thread, and let the river keep their words. By midweek, her manager slid a folder across a table, offers, scripts stripped of polish, roles that required a pulse more than a pose, a streaming doc pitched as the price of silence. "No," she said to the doc, without opening the brief. "If I ever tell it long form, it won't be for trend. It'll be for truth." That afternoon, she met a young director in a small cafe with chipped saucers and the best bitter coffee in the district. "I wrote something for you," he said, hands shaking. "It's messy. Like real life." She laughed softly. "Then maybe it fits." He told her the story, a woman who stops being a brand and starts being an artist again. "Does she win?" Demet asked. "She breathes. Good enough." The internet, ever hungry, demanded a villain. It's easier to feed outrage than nuance. But Demet refused to name a single person, refused to weaponize memory for spectacle. She kept the pronouns large and the focus structural. Critics called it evasive, survivors called it wise. She slept better. Still, heat found her. A late-night show mocked her poetry of pain. A meme account stitched her quotes into punchlines. She didn't clap back. Shadow doesn't shrink in a fight, it shrinks in light. So she posted something else, a photo of her hand holding a pen over blank paper. Caption, writing, not erasing. It landed like a small meteor, quiet, bright, unarguable. Meanwhile, fans organized a digital action, #WeHearYouDemet, not a demand, just a chorus. Messages poured in from women who had swallowed words in meeting rooms, from men who had apologized for things they didn't break, from teenagers who found bravery in a single sentence. She read them all, then turned the comments off to keep the tenderness from being harvested by algorithms. In private, she called her mother. They spoke like they always did. Recipes, an aunt's knee, a neighbor's cat that keeps stealing socks from the balcony. Normal is holy when fame makes everything large. Are you eating? Yes. Are you sleeping? Sometimes. Are you proud? Yes. Not because it's easy. Because I'm not afraid of heart anymore. That evening, she met a lawyer, not for litigation but for language. "If I start an initiative," she asked, "to fund first films by women and independents, to get different stories told, how clean can we keep it? Clean enough to matter. Contracts have hands, too, but they can also hold." Her phone buzzed again. A voice note from him, brief, careful, music in the background like memory's wallpaper. She didn't play it right away. She watched the sunset fold into the city and thought about how beginnings often masquerade as endings when you're in the middle. Later, alone, she pressed play. The voice was steady. "I'm proud of your voice," it said. Not the volume. The pitch. She laughed, let the sound settle, and sent back a single line, "Stay well." Noise is addictive, meaning is quieter. Demet chose the latter. She accepted the messy script, the one with margins wide enough for breath, and joined a small crew that cared more about truth than trailers. No choreography of rumor, no engineered leaks, just a calendar, a schedule, a story that asked more from her than posture. On set, she felt something rearrange beneath her ribs. The first scene required no tears, no glamour, just listening, really listening, to another character's hurt. She found the rhythm instantly, like returning to a language she used to speak in her sleep. The director nodded, eyes shining. "There," he whispered. "There you are." Word spread, not through tabloids but through artists who recognize courage by the warmth it leaves. A cinematographer from Rome sent a DM, "Your frame breathes." A veteran actress forwarded a note, "It took me 20 years to say what you said last week." The brand offers dwindled for a bit. Shock at the top, recalibration in the middle, curiosity at the end. Then the right ones returned, fewer, cleaner, aligned with her new spine. She said yes, selectively, to partners who loved story more than spin. One night, between takes, she stepped outside. The air smelled like rain and concrete, the city's eternal cologne. She thought of the first apartment, the window that stuck, the hunger she wore like a jacket back then. Hunger had changed flavors now. Less about arriving, more about staying true. Her phone lit up with a link. A student newspaper had run an editorial quoting her, "Systems have hands," to call out a toxic club on campus. She smiled. Artifacts of honesty have a way of building small bridges in places you've never walked. A message from him again, hours later. I saw a frame from your set. It looks like you. Maybe for the first time in a long time. Keep it. She put the phone away, went back under the lights, and did exactly that. A major platform finally called. Not the first to call, but the first to say the right words: creative control, quiet marketing, real pacing. They wanted her story, not weaponized, not lacquered, documented with respect. She listened, asked for time, and went to the water again. Decisions travel best by river. Her manager argued both sides. A thoughtful doc could protect your truth. Or trap it, Demet countered. Even praise can be a leash. The platform sent a sample cut from another series, beautiful, yes, but slick in a way her honesty was not. Maybe later, she said. Sometimes the bravest move is to hold the note, not drop the track. Instead, she launched the initiative quietly: grants for first-time filmmakers, mentorship circles, legal clinics for contracts written in smoke. No press release, just a form and a promise. The first applications poured in, stories of neighborhoods on the edge, kitchens full of brave hearts that hadn't learned to pose for cameras. She read until her eyes stung, cried once, laughed twice, funded 3. A journalist messaged, "Why help others when you're still in your own storm?" Because storms share umbrellas. That week, she taped one final studio appearance, the last chapter in the triptych. Do you regret the confession? No. Regret is fear in a new dress. I prefer courage, even when it doesn't fit yet. Applause rose, not manic, not performative, warm. She stepped off stage and ran straight into him. You okay? Better than okay. Breathing. Finally an action we don't have to rehearse. They didn't make promises. Life had taught them the gravity of simple sentences. But there are moments that don't need articulation to be real. This was one of them. Thunder doesn't last, air does. Weeks passed, not with the madness of scandal but with the sanity of routine. Work, sleep, tea, pages, set, a phone call to her mother, a grant approved, a walk at dusk. A life, small, human, enough. The new film locked picture. Early cuts made their way through the small grapevine of people whose praise doesn't sell tickets but does build legends. A critic known for Knives sent a line, "It's not her performance that stuns, it's her presence." Demet read it in the kitchen, fingers curled around a mug, and let herself believe it. The platform circled back, respectful again. When you're ready, the door is open. Doors that don't slam are worth remembering. She saved the email in a folder called Later. One night, the city went soft under a thin rain. She put on a coat and walked without destination, letting the streets choose. A corner florist closed late, a cat pretended not to follow her, a cafe she'd never noticed before steamed its windows with soup and stories. She stepped in and ordered whatever was warm. The cook recognized her and pretended not to. He gifted her the grace of ordinary. How is it? Exactly what I needed. Back home, she opened the notebook, the one that refuses to back up, and wrote 3 new lines beneath the old ones. Silence protects the wrong people. So speak, but don't perform. Name no one. Free everyone. And live the proof. Her phone rested, quiet for once. She imagined the river at night, dark and honest, carrying reflections that never linger long enough to become obsessions. Somewhere across a sea, a message might be waiting. Or not. The peace came from not needing it. She turned off the lamp, not to end the day but to keep it. The dark held her, not as an absence of light but as the presence of rest. For the first time in a very long time, the quiet wasn't emptiness, it was fullness without noise. The world said her confession changed everything. Maybe it did. Ratings spiked, conversations shifted, mirrors were cleaned. But what changed for Demet was simpler, harder, and more permanent. She stopped outsourcing her truth. The industry would continue its costume changes, scandal to apology to trend and back, but she had chosen a different wardrobe, plain courage, worn daily. In the months that followed, the film premiered not with fireworks but with a hush, that rare kind of silence that means the room is listening. People didn't clap at the credits right away, they breathed. Then the applause started, not loud enough to drown thought, just strong enough to say we felt it. The initiative funded 9 first films. One of them, shot in a kitchen the size of a breath, won a small festival prize that mattered more than red carpets. On stage, the new director thanked Demet without naming her. Hands can do many things, sometimes the best use is to lift without leaving fingerprints. A journalist tried again, will you ever name names? She smiled. Names are small. Patterns are big. He frowned, unsatisfied. That was okay. Not every hunger needs feeding. And the message thread, the one with the swallow over water, remained what it needed to be, a room with a window open. Sometimes winds visited. Sometimes they didn't. The air was still good. On a quiet morning, over tea that had steeped too long but tasted right, she wrote one last line in the stubborn paper notebook, I didn't set out to change the world. I set out to stop letting it change me into someone I wasn't. She closed,